Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, it's time for Charitable Georgia. Brought to you by Bees Charitable Pursuits and Resources. We put the fun in fundraising. For more information, go to beescharitablepursuits.com. That's BEES charitablepursuits.com. Now, here's your host, Brian Pruitt.
Good, fabulous Friday morning. It's another fabulous Friday. We got 3 more fabulous guests. And if it's your first time listening to Charitable Georgia, this is all about positive things happening in community. Our first guest this morning is Miss Lori Cover from Positively Max and Maggie. Lori, thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'd just like to say hooday, although we need a little bit better, but hooday.
Hooday.
There we go. That's our common bond, the little Bengals there. So you and I met doing, I guess, a couple years ago in networking, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you have an interesting background from TV and special gifts, and now you've got this pet thing going on. So why don't you give us a little background about yourself, and we'll talk about Positively Max and Maggie.
All righty. Well, I grew up in Ohio, obviously, being a Bengals fan, and learned very quickly I didn't want to stay in Ohio, so went to college in Florida so that I could get some good weather. Moved here pretty quick after that, and I actually have worked in Atlanta sports television for 30 years. Since I moved here, I was very blessed. I moved here and got involved in local TV, and they needed a short, spunky woman to boss people around. So I became the sports producer at WXIA for a long time. And, I came into Atlanta at a really good time because I came in when the Braves started in the 90s. So I got to cover a World Series and championships, and that was amazing. Then the Falcons were doing well, went to a Super Bowl, Georgia started to do well. We had national championships and Final Fours. And so that was my passion, and it still is. I still am a passionate sports person. But then I decided to try and move into other areas of television. So I moved into working on, parades and game shows and talk shows with Tyler Perry, and my days just got longer and longer and longer and longer. And, you kind of get to a point where you're like, what am I doing sitting in a production truck for 14 hours a day? I am married. I have a wonderful husband. He also works in the industry. So fortunately, we understood each other's hours. I have 2 adult kids. And then I have 3 4-legged kids, which is actually why Positively Max Maggie. So, and I met you, Brian, because right before the pandemic, my mom passed away. And then we hit the pandemic, and it was like, oh my gosh, my world kind of got turned upside down. So I started working for a great company called Tate and Zoe. I was doing it on the side, still doing some TV stuff. But I wanted to do something that added a little sunshine, so to speak, to things, because that was what my mom always was. She was an amazing person, and volunteering was huge in her life, and it still is in my father's. But so I started doing Tate and Zoe, doing gifts and gift baskets, and it was always something that I felt like I can donate these to, auctions and events. And so that was kind of my way of feeling like I was, giving back and doing stuff. And then, there's a saying I saw recently. It was, about the time I started Positively Max and Maggie. It said, if your schedule is full, but your soul is not, then you're filling your schedule with the wrong things. And that was like a smack upside my head. it was like I was so busy, but nothing was making me really happy. So that was kind of how I took a really hard left turn. So,
well, you mentioned it. You graciously donated some baskets for some events that I've worked with in the nonprofits from golf tournaments and some other things. So I appreciate you doing that. But so other than the getting involved with the sports and stuff like that, why is it important for you to be part of the community?
Because that is where you live. That is the people who are there for you for good, bad, or indifferent. We have, my kids, from the time they were little, we would go and, we'd serve food at a soup kitchen. We'd go walk pets at a humane society. It was important to us. We've been given so much in our lives that we needed to give back. During the pandemic, we rode school bus for Must Ministries, who delivered food to all the Cobb County kids who didn't have the normal breakfast and lunch they would get at school. So we rode in the back of the school bus and went to, extended stay places just to make sure, we still had food at home. We still could get out and get what we needed, but not all these people could. So it's that kind of stuff that has always been so important to me. And it comes from my parents, because my dad, God bless him, he still is so involved in his community in Northport, Florida. And mom and dad always, we have a lot. We should be thankful. We need to give back to others.
So I want to go back to your television days for a second. So you say you started WXIA?
I did.
So, I think it's interesting. Was Jeff Hollinger there when you were there?
No, actually, he was at Channel 5.
Oh, that's right.
He was the sports anchor at Channel 5. And then that was the early 90s, because I had just gotten out of college, early 90s. And Fred Khalil, Randy Waters, Sam Crenshaw, and I still do high school football on Friday nights for Georgia Public Broadcasting, because that is my love. There is nothing better than a high school football. It really is. It's awesome. And so I still work with Sam Crenshaw, who is so involved in high school football. So I still work with Sam, and Fred has, since, God bless him, got to retire.
Right.
Moved back to Arizona.
Randy was for a little while at Kennesaw State. I don't know if he's still there or not working.
He actually is doing color radio for Georgia Tech basketball.
Okay.
So.
Well, the reason I asked about Jeff, because I just saw where he left at 11 Alive and now went to GPP.
Yes, I just saw him on Tuesday. We do our check-in for high school football on Friday. We are in East Coweta tonight, so I have a long drive ahead of me today.
It is football season, though, so it's always good when I can be out in the football field. So
can't hurt.
All right, so tell us a little bit about Positively Max and Maggie.
So having had animals my whole life, they are the purest form of unconditional love. They just are happy when you come home. It's like, yay, you're feeding me. Yay, you're here. So I knew that there was something that, I wanted to do. You look at the pet industry over the last 10 years has grown by more than $10 billion, but yet 4 to 6 million animals are surrendered to shelters every year. So there's something kind of wonky going on. Ozzy Albies, who Braves second baseman, started an amazing pet foundation. And this had started kind of getting me thinking, because he was like, he grew up in Curacao where dogs were on the street all the time and people didn't think a thing about it. He wanted to teach people, hey, there's a reason that they're here, treat them well, learn how to take care of them, kind of learn at an early age. So he's done amazing things. He helps bring dogs out of shelters and takes them to Braves games to get adopted. It's adorable. And, I don't have that kind of financial backing, but I was like, I've got to be able to do something. So I started doing research, and I found that there are so many small businesses, women, veterans, people hand make collars, hand make water bowls, do all this stuff. And a percentage of all of their profits go to animal organizations. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make kind of an umbrella to help bring in other small businesses. They can also, will also give back. We choose a different animal charity each month to give back to. And most of these items are things that if you have a dog or a cat, you're going to buy anyway. You're going to buy a leash. You're going to buy toys. You're going to buy treats. Well, buy from a small business that not only you're helping support a small business, but you're also helping support different organizations. And I've only been doing this since July, so I am still a baby at this. And I know I have so much to still learn, which is why being part of the Agworth Business Association has been really important, because a lot of people there they have really helped me kind of learn, I do that. Maybe you need to do more of that. And I'm very willing to learn. Coming from television, I don't have a business background. I can boss people around all I want, but that doesn't mean I know necessarily, long term where, I need to change this marketing strategy or maybe add this. And I know there's a lot of other small businesses who I'd love to incorporate in the umbrella. But now that I've started the business, I'm kind of overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, I've got to do this, because we do pop-up shops and we're online. So we're trying to spread the word, so to speak, about Positively Max and Maggie.
So I'm curious how the name came about.
My dog, my pitty mix, his name is Max, and my one of my cats is Maggie, because I wanted to do cats and dog. And my daughter, who has her master's in luxury branding, she was my person, and I was like, okay, I want to use Max and Maggie. And she's like, Mom, it's a long name. I was like, I know, but positively is the giving back part. She's like, okay. So she was very instrumental in helping me try and create it, and she created my logo and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Well, we do that monthly trivia, and last month we helped the Etowah Valley Humane Society. So were you able to get a hold of Brian?
I was, and we actually have our fundraiser for the Etowah Valley Humane Society on our Instagram page. We started this past weekend, and we're going to continue through the month of October.
So share about that. What's the fundraiser about, and how can people get involved? You
can go to the Positively Max and Maggie Instagram page. It's listed on there. And we do, and what I tell people all the time, if they see us at a pop-up shop and they're like, oh, I don't have a dog or a cat. Well, I always have the information. I said, that's okay. You can just donate to the organization. And I had a bunch of people walk by and hand me $5. I said, we're raising a percentage of our profits from all of our sales online and at pop-up shops. And people who want to just donate, all of those proceeds are all going to the Etowah Valley Humane Society.
Awesome. Do you know, being in the broadcasting world, do you know Ray Baker?
Ray Baker.
Used to be in the radio. He was the one that started Kennesaw State's radio station back in the 90s. And,
yes,
he's involved with Rockford Rescues. Have you gotten in touch with him about that?
I have not. And that's just it, Brian. I will be honest. The number of people, we were at a pop-up shop on Sunday, and I wrote down 4 organizations. And that's what I mean, where because I'm still so early in this process, I love getting names and connections because I think the most important thing is education, especially of young people, because when young people learn how to take care of animals, hey, let's get them spayed and neutered so we don't have, a litter of puppies or kittens that then my third animal is Kim Wigington from the ABA had come to a board meeting and said, hey, we found a litter of kittens. It was in a storm drain in downtown Ackworth. Does anyone want one? The only one they could catch. And I was like, I'll take it. My husband, of course, was rolling his eyes. And turns out she has special needs. And that's why they could catch her, because she has a brain injury. Mm. But again, it's this, she would not have made it if she had been there. But that's just another one of those, oh my gosh, here we have more feral cats and more. So I think that, to me, I want to get involved. I want connections, and I want to, I really want to help with the process of, okay, what's the best way to help not have 4 to 6 million animals surrendered every year?
I'll make that reconnection for you with Ray. So
that would be awesome.
And then in January, I'm going to have an expo at the Ackworth Community Center that you can be a part of out. So that's going to help the Horizon League portion of those proceeds. So you can come out and promote your stuff there. So
awesome. I'm ready. I'm ready and willing to go just about anywhere.
All right. Well, we talked about the networking, and that's how we met. So you not only network, but you're involved with the ABA. You're on, I guess, the board, or you're a committee member or whatever. So can you give us a positive story of how networking has benefited you and helped you?
Honestly, when I did the gift baskets, that was when I was like, I don't know a thing about business. I need to help. So I went to the ABA, never felt more like part of a family. Everyone was like, oh, we'll help, blah, 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 blah. Well, Dale Hoflinger and Kelly Nagel, when I started talking about, I think I want to do this with, the pet business, they both took time out of their incredibly busy schedules, sat down with me, and for an hour, let me go, okay, these are some of the things I'm thinking of. Good, bad. And they both have been instrumental in just kind of giving me some guidance on ways to go. And I couldn't have done this without them. And I am on the board. I'm in charge of the women's luncheon. And we've grown tremendously. So it's been a great experience. And yeah.
So you also help with the Morning Jolt.
I do.
Can you share? I mean, you don't necessarily have to be a member of the ABA. I know people like to be there, but you can come to that. Can you share about the Jolt?
The Jolt is awesome because it literally is 1 hour, and that's it. You have 1 hour, come at 8 a.m., and you have a chance to share your business. You can meet people, and it's a great way to get your Tuesday. It's the second and fourth Tuesday of every month, and it's a great way to meet people. In fact, the people who are painting my house right now, I met them at the Jolt. So
there you go.
I've made incredible connections, and everyone can. And it doesn't cost. You go in, grab a cup of coffee, meet a bunch of people. You're in and out in an hour, and you can make meetings. It's wonderful.
Sometimes you get free breakfast, too, depending on who's sponsoring.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So there are a ton of networking groups out there, a ton of business associations, especially in Cobb County. So since you're on the board of the ABA, which is the Ackworth Business Association, for people who may not know, can you share? I know they just had their monthly luncheon yesterday, right?
Yes.
Can you share a little bit more about them in case people want to get more involved?
The organization, let's say ackworthbusiness.org, is the best place to check out all of the events. Taste of Ackworth is tomorrow, and that is a huge part of the ABA. It's great function. And then we have, like I said, the Jolt, 2nd and 4th. We have the Alive After 5, which is another great event that you don't have to be a member. You can come. And it's next week at Center Street Tavern on Thursday. And then the Women's Luncheon is the last Thursday of the month. And that you do have to register for. But there are events you don't have to register for. You can come. And then, like with the 2 luncheons, you do have to register. But it's there's the golf tournament is also the 23rd. So it's another one of our big events helping with the ABA.
And so I know since you are part of the board and you do the Women's Luncheon, I think it's important because, I'm part of the leadership team of the Carsville Business Club. Don't just come and network. You need to get involved because, you can come and I don't think you'll get enough and as much as you can unless you get involved. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I have to say that was one of the things when I first arrived that I realized, you can just go to the Jolt and to the Alive After 5 and you'll meet people, but you get so much more out of it if you get involved. And there is always a place to get involved. And it does help get to know people better, get to know more about people's businesses. And you know what? The other thing is, I may not, like with my house, you may meet me at a Jolt and you may not, you may say, oh, she has pet business. I don't have any pets. I don't need to know. But then we have a conversation and you find out, oh, wait, she needs this for her car or for her house. And it's that getting to know people, having conversations, and that's how getting involved makes all the difference in the world. And
building that relationship, because that's the big part. So, all right. So since you are new into your own business, you said what, June?
July. I'm actually 3 months this week.
3 months. All right. So everybody that's in here is a business owner and small business owner. So give some advice for somebody who might be listening who's thinking about starting a business.
Do your research. That to me is the most important. And you must be careful. We all know the internet is not infallible, but talk to people, do research, make sure. One of the things I remember asking Kelly Nagel was, why do I want to do something that other people do? Because, I'm not alone in having a pet business. And she's like, find your reason, find your why, and say, okay, I'm doing this because I'm going to do it to help others in this capacity versus other. So know your why, do your research, and, be willing to take criticism. I'm not always really good at that, but be willing to take criticism and be willing to pivot.
I also think what makes you stand out too, because even though you got other pet businesses, you have a special niche, and so that makes sure people know that too. And I also like what Bob Brooks talks about. We talk about the CBC too, collaborate over competition. So, there may be other pet businesses in there, but everybody's going to do the same thing. So,
right.
All right. So if people are listening, want to get a hold of you for your services, how can they do that?
Positively Max and Maggie at yahoo.com and Positively Max and Maggie. Hold on. What did I just say? Positively Max and Maggie at Yahoo is the email address.
Right.
Positively Max and Maggie.com is the website, and on Instagram and Facebook. So if you type in PAWSITIVELY Max and Maggie, will pop up.
All right. Awesome. Well, Lori, thanks for coming and sharing a little bit of your story, and don't go anywhere. We're not done with you. So
thank you so much for having me.
All right. Now we're moving over to Mr. Isaac Hall with the Isaac Hall Group. Isaac, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So you're dedicated because you just drove back in from Orlando. because you know you were going to be the star and you wanted to get here, right?
That's it. Yeah.
You and I met, obviously, at the Carsville Business Club, and you have a passion for helping others, I think, like everybody in this room. But you chose a profession that's really, I think, hard for people to navigate, and there's a lot of, I don't know, it's just weird anyway. So, but anyway, share your background, and we'll talk into what you do.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. Yeah, where to start? I could go on for hours, I guess. I'm from Dallas, Georgia, not Texas, and I've been living in Bartow County, I guess, the majority of my adult life. And I grew up around church a lot, and at 14, become a Christian. And I know it's business radio, but
that's fine. A lot of people share their testimony, so go ahead.
Yeah, so everything I do is, because of that. And so I really take that into business and what I do. So I started at 18 doing landscaping and did that for a few years. And then I did some electrical work. I've done roofing. I've shoveled horse manure for money. So I didn't really know much about being a business guy, if you will, dressing up during the day. But I got into insurance at 24 and with a little company called Aflac in South Georgia. And so I did that for many years, I guess almost 17 years with Aflac and the supplemental side, and didn't really want to do anything else. You mentioned how it's just kind of weird and confusing. And so, I got into individual health insurance the last couple of years, and it's been phenomenal. People don't really, which we can get into, but people don't really understand how much is out there to be able to get covered. And so big on helping families, again, being in the ministry. I lead worship at my church at Grace Walk Church in Cartersville. And so love to help people. And I've got a lot of kids. Between me and my wife, we have 9 kids, 6 boys, 3 girls. Our oldest is 21 and our youngest is 8. So
you almost doubled the Brady Bunch.
Yeah. People say it's like the Brady Bunch. I'm like, well, we're bigger. So it's, we stay busy with the kids. So like we went to Orlando, we just took the 2 youngest. They're getting older now, so we're kicking them out as soon as we can. So we're kind of getting there, but, love what we do. We, big in the community now, obviously again with, trying to help out at the church there. And so it kind of goes hand in hand with what we do. And so now I'm full-time, started, the Isaac Hall Group, in the last couple of years and really got into more of that trying to help out people on the health insurance side now than on the Aflac too, but I do both.
We'll get into that in just a second, but I want to talk a little bit more about your giving back and your passion for helping others, because you jumped aboard and helped us with All in All Ministries fundraiser back in June. And we brought Kevin. Actually, he was my first 2-time guest, because since he was on the first time, there was a lot happening with his ministry. And, because you were part of that, we were able to raise $10,300 for his ministry. So that was awesome. So you've also, helped in ways where you necessarily couldn't come to trivia, but you bought some tickets for maybe some other folks to come and be able to participate in the monthly trivia. So I appreciate that. So why, other being in a ministry and just kind of the, your Christian walk, why is it important to be part of the community?
Well, I mean, she mentioned it a while ago when it comes to helping people. And we say it a lot in the business club, but it sounds cliche, but it's really true. The more you help people, the more you help, the more it comes back. I mean, as a Christian, the Bible says you reap what you sow. And when you put it out there, it's going to come back. And, and 2, I tell people, I say this a lot as far as being a Christian is when I was 14, I become a Christian. I say, the Lord changed my forever. And there's just not anything more exciting than that. And so to be able to help people, whether it's in a natural sense, of helping people with recovery, we've, helped, Kevin out on another event, recently downtown, and it's just so cool to get, and you see people that are really, down, they've been through some stuff. I've been through some stuff. We've all been through some stuff. Some of our stuff is out in the open more than others. And so I went through one of those moments where it was out in the open and, people judge and they do these kind of things. So it's really cool to meet people in that setting, to be able to love on them, and say, I promise it's going to get better, to give some hope. So,
and I love it because, Laura, you were talking about the why, and that seems to be a theme this week, Eric, but, it is about your why, because you can go into a job and have a job, but you're not going to be happy unless you know your why. And it took me a long time to figure out my why. One of these days I'll share my why on the air, but I shared a little bit yesterday with Eric and some folks. So, all right, let's talk about the Isaac Hall Group and your insurance. You mentioned that it's the personal health, right?
It is. And it's funny. I'll tell you real quick on the why. When I started Aflac, like I said, almost 17 years ago, Joe Harris Jr. in Cartersville was my boss. And I'll never forget, we sat there for like 2 hours, and wonderful guy. We got to talking, and he asked me for like 2 weeks when I was working there, what is your why? And I knew he's looking for something different. I wanted to be like, wife and kids, we got to buy groceries. I'm trying to make a living. I don't know. But I'd already told him my story, and I just didn't put two and two together at that age. But my cousin went through cancer in mid-20s, and he fought it for a year and a half, worst case scenario. And they had Aflac through Cobb County government, his parents. And so financially changed their life. They were able to be with him for that year and a half. And so it was like a commercial. And so my story for years selling was just, hey, this is what happened, and if you need it, it's amazing. If not, it's insurance. It's a necessary evil. I know people hate insurance. But so I got into the individual help part a couple of years ago, and I had somebody actually, very thankful for her, that, she begged me to get into it for like 5 years. And I hate health insurance. Nobody likes it. It goes up every year, and there's just network problems and all this. And I said, I'm good. And so like I said, almost 2 years ago, she came to me and said, you really got to do this. So I met with some folks, and it's really changed since 2009 when the Affordable Care Act happened. And so now there's so much out there, and I specialize in that because typically when we talk about our perfect referral, it's not just somebody who needs health insurance. It's those that think they can't afford it. So if they're low income, or they have their own business, and they're good with their taxes, and they're able to pull their adjusted gross income. There's a lot of different ways, within the setting that you can get affordable, truly affordable health insurance, which is a big deal because obviously dealing with what we do, we were even talking about the animals and having care. I mean, it's that way within yourself, whether it's your job or your family, your mental state, everything that goes on, talking about recovery. There's help out there. And if you don't know to get it, or you think you can't afford it, it affects your whole life, So it's pretty cool.
So people who, dread going there and trying to find the health insurance, and, some of them just say, heck with it, I'm not going to get it, and they pay out of their pocket, which sometimes can be a little cheaper. Yeah. But give some, I guess, advice on, other than talking to yourself, to you, but give some advice to somebody, first of all, looking for insurance, and then what do they need to look for?
Yeah, well, it's funny you said that too. Thinking about what we do versus if somebody goes on the internet and tries to search for it, it can be very overwhelming. There's tons of options. People go, what is a deductible? What's an out-of-pocket expense? Is it in-network, out-of-network? What's a specialist, and those kind of things. So obviously trying to find somebody who knows what they're doing. I tell all my kids all the time, I say, if you want marriage advice, talk to somebody who's been married for 30 and 40 years. If you want money advice, talk to somebody who has money. And so if you want advice in insurance, talk to somebody who's done it and they know what they're doing. And then just really looking for the need. I heard one of your shows recently. I think we're talking about some insurance, and everybody's different. I don't go to the doctor very often. I had a brother who had a heart transplant. So obviously we need two totally different health plans. Mine's totally different than his. So getting with someone and trying to figure out how much coverage do you really need where it doesn't break the bank. A lot of people say, I'm overinsured. I have too much insurance, and I say you can never have too much insurance. You can have too much premium that you have to pay. So obviously you can't be overinsured, but you can be over premium every month. So that's kind of the gist behind that, in my opinion. But it is a necessary evil. But like you said, I give an example. One of my sons had a car wreck last December. He was in the hospital 3 days. It was almost $60,000 bill. And so doctor visits won't make you go bankrupt, but that could. So it's worth looking and finding. Again, I go back to scripture. The Bible says you have not because you ask not. And I'm like, all you got to do is find out. It takes 2 minutes to get a quote. And I love what I do. I tell people I'm very open when it comes to what I do is I get paid the same from the carrier, whether you pay $0 a month or $1,000. And so you try to find somebody who's in it to say, hey, look, whatever's best for you. It's law numbers. We talk to enough people, and people sign up and it helps them. So yeah, really, again, doing research, making sure you get what you need,
So if you caught that, he did say $0 a month, which It is a thing, which is pretty incredible. All right. So other than because you also worked for Aflac, why is it important to possibly have a supplemental insurance? Or do you agree with that?
100%. So I love Dave Ramsey, cause we shouldn't be in debt. But I don't agree with his lines of he doesn't like supplemental insurance. Well, if everyone's a millionaire and you're debt free, you don't need supplemental insurance. But 86% of Americans are paycheck to paycheck. So in my opinion, my line with Aflac for years has been, if you're sick or hurt and you can't work, can you buy groceries? Can you pay your mortgage? Can you handle paying for 9 kids? That's hard to do with a paycheck. So, to me, supplemental insurance it's a no brainer. Unless you can go without a paycheck for a long extended period of time, or you have that $8,000 or $9,000 put back for deductible. And a lot of people do, but most people don't. So yeah, I think both, kind of fits. Your health insurance to pay doctors and hospitals. Again, for me, I'm okay with having a high deductible because I've got plenty of Aflac. My son, who spent 3 days in the hospital, our deductible was $8,600. My Aflac paid me $10,000 on an accident plan. So it just kind of fits together. But also it's whatever's affordable to you. So I tell people we're here to pay you cash when you need it, not break you in the meantime. So you can't live in fear. So you pick and choose what's best and what's affordable so you can keep it. But if you can afford it, it's definitely worth it.
That's what I was going to ask, because a lot of people are thinking, well, it's great and everything, but I can't really afford that stuff. So I guess really you guys just need to sit down, even if it was not with Isaac, but just sit down and talk to somebody so you can find out what's going on and what's good for you. So, all right. So you and I met at Cartersville Business Club. You were new to networking, if I'm not mistaken. How long have you been networking now?
So I think the first time I came was towards the end of last year, but really heavy the last several months trying to go, every week.
So can you share a positive story since you've been networking?
It is phenomenal. And I'll say this real quick. When I started Aflac, all I knew was law and numbers. So when I used to do landscaping, I was that guy that put stuff on your mailbox before it was, you get in trouble. And it was like, hey, if I hit 1,000 houses and I get 1%, success, I'll make a living. I did that with Aflac. So I knocked on businesses' doors and I was that guy. It is not fun for anybody, but it works, law of numbers. And, I was working for the Ducks, so I knew it would work. And that's how I taught people for years. And then I came to the networking in Cartersville and it was so cool. My biggest thing is I hate going in a room with salespeople and you feel like you're just trying to sell and they're trying to sell. Nothing is fun about it. I hate it. And it was totally different there. I mean, I've never seen anything like it, like a family, and people genuinely, what can I do to help? Can I get a one-on-one to see what you do? And so I started doing that. And I really picked up on that. And I'm at a place where it wasn't like when I started a commission only job at 24 and I was broke. Thankfully I'm not at that point. So I was more relaxed as well, in the networking, and it is so phenomenal. I was on a call this morning and I was telling the guy, I said, I don't remember the last day that I've not gotten a referral about health insurance. I don't remember. And tons of it come from networking. Because you're genuinely going in, what do you do? I've dealt with small businesses for years. So we're talking to real estate or lenders or painters or whoever. And I say, look, I've got like all these small businesses I deal with. I can definitely put you in front of somebody. And you send that first referral and boom, it just starts coming. And so I told my wife the other day, I said, I really messed up, when I started at 24 and didn't understand, what it was, to get together with people. All I did was cold call. And I said, it could have been a whole lot different, so I genuinely love it. I tell everybody I know, you've got to get in there, and just get involved, and get to know people. And it just comes,
Well, you talked about, not knowing at 24. Anybody who doesn't know networking, I don't care what age you are, you go in, all you want to do is sell. And that's not it. You got to build the relationships. And it takes a while, and I think getting involved and having the one-on-ones and building those relationships is what does it. And it's funny. People say, well, you need to know Brian. He knows everybody. Well, I don't know everybody, but it is scary how many people I do know, because I've networked in Atlanta for almost 30 years. And it's crazy when I sit down and sit how many people I actually do know, good or bad. And the networking groups, there are several out there, and there are some that are better than others, but it's true. Laura, you got to come to Cartersville Business Club because it is really like a family. It's more than just and I'm not knocking the Ackworth Business Association, but it's definitely, you come in and you're going to be open armed. I mean, and I would say, I don't know, you might probably 40% may not even be from the Bartow County area that come there. Would you agree? Yeah. I mean, that's how people, and it's so accepting for, and people, it's just amazing. So, all right. So, since you've started your business, give some advice for somebody who's listening who might want to start their own business.
It's tough. It's funny. All I've ever done is own my own business, in insurance or landscaping or whatever. I love doing that. It's not what people think about. I'm the boss. I don't have to do anything. You work harder than everybody else, but it's very rewarding. And couple things, I guess. She mentioned time a while ago, management. Oh my gosh, you've got to figure that one out, calendar it out, or it will run your business. It will run you instead of you running your business, for sure. But you can, definitely take advantage, of doing that and be able to work for yourself, build time. Again, like this week, I was able to go to Orlando with the kids and wife and didn't have to worry about, can I take off? Those kind of things. But really just being steady, getting after it, just every day, is activity. I guess that's in any business. In insurance, they drilled it in our head, but just talking to people, networking, talking constantly. It's just whatever you're doing, you're passionate about it. You talk about it all the time. Be that guy in your business. Cause the deal is if you're passionate about it, whether it's animals, it's insurance, it's real estate, whatever it is, if you're talking about it, you're doing it to help other people. And so when it comes across that way, it makes all the difference in the world. I give this last example. I've hired people through the years where I really thought they were going to just knock it out of the park in the business. But they were a little too slick. And so you just can't be that way. If you own your own business, obviously you're in sales and they've got to see you care. I talk about it in leading worship at church. And I say, if we're up here and we're not smiling, we're not excited, we're not passionate about what we do, they're not going to get excited either. And they're not going to come back. So everything we do in life, I think is kind of that mentality, but definitely if you're going to do a business, you've got to be passionate about it. And if so, you put in the time and effort, it'll work.
Well, you talked about the sales and Lori and Eric, you guys didn't, when you started your business, you came from TV background. Eric, you're first responder. We'll talk about it in a second, but you and I were in the sales part of it. And it's a lot different selling for yourself than selling for somebody else, and a lot less. The stress is different. Yeah. You put the stress on yourself.
Yeah. I was going to say, and then you're the guy or the lady, if something happens, they are calling you.
Right.
So yeah, my cell phone's out there, my email's out there, my name's out there. And so, another cool thing about the referrals, I mean, when you're really genuinely doing the best for that person, whether you make the sale or not, I've made sales where I didn't make that particular sale and they referred me to someone else because they truly saw, hey, he's trying to do what's best. There's been times where I've looked at people and I said, individual health is not the best for you. I deal with small businesses too. And I say, you should stay with group health, and I don't do group health. And so we just refer it to someone else, So, but if you do that, it's definitely a different stress because, when I worked for Aflac, it was the brand, it was the duck. Everybody knew it's Aflac. Even me, there was people that would have me in their phones as the Aflac guy. They didn't know my name. In this case, my name is in the group. I was a call group, so if something happens, they know who to call. So it's a big deal to do what you say.
So I got another networking story that I'll share about you that you and I did talk about, but you probably didn't think about. So when you helped with Kevin's thing, right, and you had a booth and everything, and we were putting everybody's logos out there, you didn't have a logo.
Right.
And so Anna made you one just out of the blue, and it was like, yeah, and that came from networking with the group.
Right. Yeah. And it was so cool because I have a meeting with her on Tuesday. And again, I got into this and I didn't have to worry about marketing before because it's a multi-billion-dollar marketing with the duck. And so I'm just going and it grew so fast. I don't even have a logo. And it was so cool because I'm in the printout of the book and I'm like, that is such a cool logo. And I'm like, oh, that's mine. And she did that, for you guys and for me. And so now I went back to her and I said, hey, I would love to pay you for that, so I can have that. And so we're meeting on Tuesday to go over. She's going to do all my marketing.
Awesome.
Because of something she did for free. It helped me, helped you. And now we're doing business together. So
that's awesome. Cool. That's awesome. All right. So if somebody's listening and wants to get a hold of you for your services, how can they do that?
She's also going to help me with a website.
There you go.
So for now, I give up my cell phone like crazy, but it's 404-391-1936. 404-391-1936. My email is isaac.hallgroup@gmail.com. And fortunately, again, with a background of Aflac, if you look up just Google Isaac Hall Cartersville, I will pull up because of that. So, but coming soon, I'll have a website. So,
all right.
Biggest thing, cell phone, email, and then again, you can just Google Isaac Hall Cartersville, and I'll pull up. So.
Awesome. Well, Isaac, thanks for sharing a little bit of your story.
Thank you.
Again, we don't go anywhere because we're not done. So now we're moving over to Mr. Eric Reagan, even though he's wearing a Roll Tide shirt and hat.
Roll Tide.
Lori, we got to stick together because we're obviously, and it's not even Georgia, it's Alabama sitting over here. That's why you like Aflac, Isaac, because Nick Saban's doing Aflac for you.
It is ironic, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
So, Eric, you and I met again networking, obviously, and you've got an awesome background as far as helping people because you started out as a first responder, firefighter, then EMT, and you had your own ambulance business for a while as well, and now you're doing something with helping people with real estate as well as just announced some ad agency stuff. So, if you don't mind, share your background.
Grew up in Smyrna, so I'm a local guy, to a single mom. Never knew my dad. So, a lot of my talking about community, my dads were my coaches. That's where I got my male influence and some in the church. Back during that time, to be a single mom out of wedlock was frowned upon. So, my family, even my mom's family, didn't really have a lot to do with us. So it was the community that helped support us and take care of us.
So talk about your firefighter days.
Well, I was about 13, 14 years old one night, and there was a wreck. It was a rollover. And I didn't know the people in the car, but I ended up pulling a guy out of it. It was a pretty bad wreck. The car caught on fire, pulled the guy out. And later on, I found out that I went to school with his sister. So that was gave me a good feeling, that I was able to affect somebody's life. So got a job with the Smyrna Fire Department and worked there for, I think, 8 years, something like that. Got my EMT license and then my paramedic license. Started working for Metro Ambulance. That was my father-in-law. Worked 2 full-time jobs, fire department and the ambulance service. He sold the ambulance service at that time. It was becoming more of a business where used to be it was a community of helping people. You knew who you were going to work with. You vacationed with the people you worked with, and it was just an awesome time. And then it became just a business. But I ended up starting my own ambulance service. I worked for them for about 6 months. And like I said, they weren't in the business of helping people. They were in the business of making money. And so I started my own ambulance, Gold Cross Ambulance, and had it for probably 10 years and ended up selling it.
So again, you have a passion for others, but I want to go back for a second and ask this question for people who are listening and may not know. Share the difference between an EMT and a paramedic.
EMTs, they can do basic stuff. A paramedic is more invasive. They can give cardiac drugs. They can do intubation, which is you stick a tube down people's throat when they're not breathing and be able to you're basically a nurse, PA in the street. And a basic EMT can start IVs and do basic stuff like that. But as far as giving, drugs and stuff like that, you have to have a paramedic license. It's a lot more school, more hours, more clinical hours in the hospital. learning stuff, hands-on stuff. So.
And that industry, I mean, any first responder, you have to have tough skin as well, because not all days are going to be, happy. I spent a little while as a 911 dispatcher for the city of Kennesaw, and I can remember taking a phone call, and the woman who was calling was in the middle of having a stroke while on the call. And it was sad because while we're trying to dispatch the police there and get her, she actually wound up dying. And they could see her through the window, and it just couldn't get to her in time. So, but you shared a little bit of the story when you were 14 years old, but do you have another story that's, really kind of drove home when you were a firefighter or a paramedic about, just helping folks?
Well, it is a very stressful job. Back when I was in the midst of it, I want to say the life expectancy of a paramedic was like 7 years, just because you could not handle the stress. And a quick story, I ran a call. There was a rape call. I was relatively new, maybe 6-8 months on the job as a paramedic. And the girl that was raped, when I peeked in, you got to be real careful when you're a male in that situation, because they just got abused by a male. And I just kind of peeked my head into the apartment, and I couldn't, she recognized me. I couldn't recognize her because the assailant had broke a beer bottle by beating her in the head, and her face was so swollen that I didn't recognize her. She ended up being a nurse at one of the local hospitals, and she recognized me. Almost got out of the business. But so many things happen to kids, and, it's not their fault. And you take them to the hospital, you care for them, and the next call comes in, and you're riding down the road, you got to go deal with somebody else. And over the course of their shift, 2 weeks later, you're riding down the road, and that person's face will pop into your mind. You're like, whatever happened to them? How can I be so cold to not remember, what happened? So I get emotional.
No.
Because people are, I like helping people.
Right.
And that's why the life expectancy is 7 years, because you can't deal with the stress.
Right. Wow. Well, you've taken that passion into the business side of helping others, and also the real estate side. So I think it's really cool, because your name of the real estate agent is 22-1.
Yep.
Share about why it's the name of that.
22-1 is comes from Proverbs 22-1, which is a good name is to be desired over wealth. And so that's my family. We own the brokerage. It's a boutique brokerage. I've primarily been handling the commercial and the land aspect of it. And, we like helping people, because that's financially the biggest investment that most people will make in their lifetime. So
somebody might be listening that's thinking about maybe needing some commercial property. Can you give any advice on what to kind of start looking for? Obviously, getting with somebody like yourself who can help them navigate that ways. But what kind of advice can you give somebody who needs some commercial property?
Know what your if it's relative to your business, know what the zoning is. Find out what you're able. If you find a place that you would like to set up shop, so to speak. And when it's commercial, it's all about location. So know what the zoning is, know what the process is, find out if you have to change zoning, know how much square footage you're going to need for your business, and find out, what you're going to expect to pay per square footage and rent. So a lot of times it makes more sense for people to buy, if they have the capability, to buy. That way you're the landlord and you maybe can rent out part of it, part of your business, part of your building. So.
Is it different in different counties as far as what they look for?
Yeah, they all each municipality has their own zoning regulations, and then there's of course the state and federal stuff that you have to be aware of also. So.
Where all can you work? Where can you help some people for them?
Well, I'm all over North Metro Atlanta, and even as far up I've helped people in Chatsworth, up North Georgia. So. But yeah, it's a fun business. I like being out and move. I don't like being stuck in a office, so to speak. So I like being out and about.
So, Lori, he might need you because he's got a dog that rides with him everywhere, and currently his dog is mad at him. So
yes, he is. I just had him neutered.
Oh,
so he might need some gifts for you from you. So. Well, you've also taken that passion and turned a little more because, go ahead.
I was going to say I did help another lady, Ann Reed, in Kennesaw, doing the same thing you did. This was probably 4 or 5 years ago. She bought a building, and every time I go by it, they're crazy. They come to the Ackworth, I won't say the name, but they come to the Ackworth business meetings too. So, it makes more sense sometimes to buy it because they're
right. Well, what I was going to say was you've taken your passion and really kind of, because you and I sat down and I learned just how passionate you are of people just in business, because you also offer some business coaching or would like to, and a lot of wisdom was in Eric's head. But no, he really takes the time to listen to you and share things you might need. And, he encouraged me to do some things, which I've now done for my business. And, I've actually formed a board, and Eric is my first board member for that business. So, you're very passionate about being at events that I do and helping in that way as well. And it was funny because you actually helped start another networking group too in Emerson. And I like that group because, it's very small and intimate. And some of those groups can be more of what you need than some of the larger ones. And I really, plus we're at a really good place, Doug's. You can't beat that food. So, but you had said something a few weeks ago that really sparked me, that, talking about when people go into business, they don't do a lot of research. They don't know what they need. They didn't even know if you need a business license. And I was like, oh, shoot, I don't have a business license. But I was told a few years ago that if you ever worked out of your home, you didn't need one. And so when I actually emailed my CPA, and she's the one that told me that, she's like, oh no, you need one. So I got hit with some pretty heavy fines, but I got one now. So thank you for that. But you have jumped into a new adventure with a buddy of ours, Jeff Stone. Share about that.
Well, talking about the real estate business, I purchased some leads, and basically everybody that we talk to that's in business would love to have more business, love to have more leads. I purchased some leads. I won't say the name. They were awful. You're fighting 10 other agents to, and it was, we're going to take your money and we're going to send you these leads, and you're on your own. And so Jeff is very passionate also about helping people. And we decided that, I was trying to figure out a way I could get more leads for real estate. And we did some research and came up with a place that actually went through coaching and some instruction as far as setting up leads and different ways to provide people with leads for their business, and getting reports weekly, and being able to actually pimp, is this working? No, that's not working. Well, let's change something, and it's, a lot of it's through Facebook, social media, Facebook, Google, TikTok. We do billboards, TV. Now, when I say TV, it's not like, TV that's going to broadcast to hundreds of thousands. They actually have it now where you can target specific neighborhoods and demographics. So you're not targeting people that you don't need to target. So it's a lot more economical for a business and that's another thing. We come from a background of, my business coaching and being able to actually find funding for businesses. A lot of small and medium businesses don't have the ability, unless they're coming out of their own pocket, to buy leads or to purchase, new business. And that's kind of scary, actually, when you're thinking, well, you need to market because you got to get your name out there, the branding and that kind of stuff. And so we started our business. Lead Lab Magnet is the name of the business. And we're just we're taking on a few businesses as case studies to, not really make any money. We're just going to do it at cost and just get in hopes that people will, we'll get them business and they'll use us, in the future. So
we talked about Jeff. Jeff's been on the show, and actually, Isaac, you met Jeff. Jeff is a former soccer player, played for the LA Aztecs. I think I joked with him the other day when we talked about the Aztecs. I thought they were in Mexico. So, super nice guy though. So the you guys combination is awesome. So, another thing that I'll just mention real quick is you also are, whether you know this or not, you're a story of inspiration to people because you're currently going through some things that aren't good, but you're just kind of rolling through them and things. And I just think it's great to see when there's adversity, because a lot of people will just say, oh, the heck with it and just give up. So, I want you to know that you're a story of inspiration for some folks. So, all right. So give some advice again on your end, of starting a business if somebody's listening and wants to start one.
Have a vision. Through my years of, if you can write your vision, even a vision board, and dream big, don't be afraid to dream. But put it on a board and put that board up somewhere where you're going to be able to look at it and see it, and keep that vision, and then set up tactics that will help you reach goals as you go. I'm a big proponent of a 12-week year, and basically, people set goals. They do, people are currently getting their goals ready for 2024, and January rolls around, and you got the holidays. You're coming off the holidays. It's cold. Things are slow, and next thing you know, it's June, and you haven't done any of your goals, and you think, I've still got the end of the year. Well, if you think about a 12-week year, you have an ability to see what works, what's working, and what's not, and then you can adjust for the next 12 weeks. So, but a big thing of that is the vision, and have your vision of what you want to accomplish and what your business is going to do, whatever business that is. If it's rescuing animals or, helping people with insurance, have a vision and stay focused on that vision.
So we also talked about the networking piece that you have to help start another networking group. You got a positive story you can share with networking?
Yeah. Just getting to know people. We're a community, and, you can know somebody, or think you know somebody, but when you really get to know them and talk with them and spend some time with them, then you really start finding out. You have the people that want to come into a networking group and they want to get the business, and they want to, they just want to come in and get the business. Well, they see, for instance, my situation is real estate. Well, under the current situation, you know, you have a lot of mortgage lenders and real estate agents that are going to these networking groups. And back to the collaboration over competition thing, learn from other people who are in the business and, you know, be yourself. Things that people might be doing might not work for you, but at least you know that's out there, and that's a choice that you can make if you want to try and do it or not. But, you know, I think, you know, just getting to know you and being a part of your charity, I think it's great what you do. I fully support, you know, coming out, and I want to be a sponsor with our new business for what you do. We're just not there yet. But.
Right. Well, so I'm going to give a shameless plug, even though it's not really a shameless plug, because I like helping people myself. So, and for those of you who don't know, I do a monthly trivia and I rotate charities. So it's 12 charities that just in trivia alone that's helping this year. I've already got next year's lined up, and 10 of the 12 charities are changing for the trivia. But Eric, you come every month. Just share a little bit about you know, because it's different from somebody who comes versus me talking about it.
Oh, it's an awesome time. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of time. It's not like it's going to be 3 or 4 hours. You know, you go and the food is fantastic. It's a buffet, and you know, so you get plenty of food, all the food, pizza, wings, and they're not just little dinky wings. These are big, you know, healthy wings. And it's just fun having, I mean, I've never won, but I've never came in last either.
Right.
But,
well, there you go.
But it is fun. And you learn some interesting things.
So I tell people, get ready for some useless knowledge.
Yeah. It's fun though. It is a lot of fun, and it's for a good cause. I mean, from, you know, the Humane Society to the food pantry, you know, it's good stuff. I mean, that's what we should all be doing. Like, world would be a better place if more people had that vision of wanting to help and be community oriented and not stay. We're all so focused on our phones and our own little world, and we don't want to interact. And so,
So that leads me to this month. If you guys like having fun, not that the other trivias aren't fun, because Eric just said they were, but this month we're going to a little more fun. October 18th is this month's trivia. We're helping the Red Door Food Pantry, which is the group in Cartersville who helps Bartow County feed the homeless and those in need. We are doing a Halloween-themed trivia and a costume contest. So, Isaac, I expect to see your costume that night. So, but you can register. Go to B's, that's B''S, Charitable Pursuits Facebook page, because all the links on there as well. My website is B's Charitable. That's BEES, because Google and websites don't like the B''. But you can see a calendar and all that as well. So, all right, as we wrap this up, I like to do this. I like for you guys each to share a positive quote, nugget, word, for those listening to finish the rest of today and the rest of 2023 and beyond with. So, Lori, what you got?
Well, I think the quote that is stuck with me, I said it earlier. If your schedule is full but your soul is not, then you need to think about what you're filling your schedule with and make sure that what you're doing is filling your soul.
Isaac?
Oh, that was unexpected. I could give 1,000. I was thinking though, you were talking about him going through some stuff. This one's scripture, but it's just one thing where if you read over and over and over in the Bible, it says, "And it came to pass." It never says it came to stay. And so, I just thought about that. I don't even know what you're going through, but I mentioned it earlier about being there when people are broken and they need something. So whatever it is, whether it's business, it's personal, it's whatever, this too shall pass. It came to pass.
There you go. Eric, before you share yours, I forgot to ask you, if somebody's listening wants to get a hold of your services and get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Leadlabmagnet.com. Email Eric at leadlabmagnet.com. If you're looking for real estate, it's 221 ONE 22, the numbers actually, 22 ONE Realty.com.
All right. Does not give us your wisdom.
I would say, all right. I'm going to give two short ones.
Okay.
The Bible says, do not fear 365 times. That's one for each day. Don't fear. Fear is a liar. The other one is, I think it was Zig Ziglar. If you help others succeed, you will be successful.
Nice. All right. The other thing that I like to do is the thank you is a lost art these days. So, Lori, thank you for what you're doing for the pets now, and also being a fellow Houdayan. Not many of us down here. So, Isaac, thanks for what you do for the folks in navigating the insurance, because it is all kinds of weird stuff going on with that, and just being able to help people with that. And Eric, thanks for first of all, your service that you provided, and now helping the people in their business and everything. Everybody out there listening, remember, let's be positive, let's be charitable.